Hello guys, welcome to another video of this series of video about RHCSA. And in the previous video I show you how to set up a repository using an ISO file. And like I said in my previous video, this video it will be about setting a repository based on HTTP server. So I've already set up all my server and I will connect to the repository server SSH student and repo local.dev or yes, and I'll enter the password. So right now my server is it doesn't have access to any internet connection, and like I did in the previous video, if I want to install any packages I must rely on the ISO file which I've already on my computer. So what I will do now, I will mount the ISO file on this repo server. So I'll go on VirtualBox and the repo server. I will go in settings and I will mount that ISO file just to be able to install the first HTTP server before I can set the HTTP server to host all packages. So I've mounted and I'll go on my server. So before I can install I can mount any file, I must be root user. So I'll go and press sudo -su and I'll enter the password, which is password. I'm logging. So student is not member of the ISO file. So what I'll do, I'll go on the server here and I'll access I'll show get hint group password is student to check if the user student is present. So the user is there. If I type group for the student, as you can see it is only member of the student group. I will add to it the RHEL group, which is the group which allows any user to be able to use the sudo command. So I'll use user mode -a to append and G for the group which I want to append, and it will be RHEL, and I'll press student. And now if I call again the command group student, you will see that the user student is member of the RHEL group. I can reduce this one and go back to my console, and here I will type sudo su dash and I'll enter the password. So I must log in first and I'll reconnect. Yes, password sudo su dash password. I'm now connected as a root user, and what I will do exactly the same step which I do in the previous video on server A, where I set up a repo based on the ISO file. So what I'll do lsbl key to list all block devices. As you can see right now, there is this block device which point to the ISO file which I just mounted previously, and I will go and mount that on MNT and install the HTTP server. So I'll go mount dev sr0 and I'll mount it on MNT. If I use df-h, you will see it is already mounted. And I'll set that as the source of the repository to just install firstly the HTTP server. Like I said, we must first be able to install the HTTP server before we can set it as a repository, because actually my server is not able to reach internet. So if I try with 888, you'll see it's not able to reach internet. So what I will do, I'll go and configure the repository, manage, DNF config manager dash add repo, and I'll do mnt equal mnt base OS for the base OS and upstream for the upstream. Now if I use DNF repo list, you see I have all the two repository. Actually, I don't want to change any content of file which are creating the etc yum.repo. I don't want to change the name to make it a little bit meaningful, so I'll leave it like this because I want just to install the HTTP server. After we install that, we'll create repo file which are more meaningful. So I'll go and run DNF search HTTPD. So as you can see, it is loading. So we can see the HTTP server is there. So I will install it with DNF install httpd-yes. Actually, this error we can see in the previous video. I said that is due to the fact that by default the main configuration of yum is using gpg check, so I must disable that. So I'll go vi etc yum.conf and I will set gpg check to 0, write and save, and now I can type dnf install dash httpd and yes to accept the installation. So it will process, and after that I will make the HTTP server starting automatically once I restart my server. So for that I will do systemctl enable httpd. I will add now httpd to now is to allow the server to start. Just after I type this command, the server will start automatically instead of having to type in again systemctl start httpd after I enabled. So if I check systemctl status httpd, as you can see the server is running. So now we have already setting the first part, which is to install the HTTP server. The second part, it will be to host the content of that ISO file on the HTTP server. So for that I will list the content of the mount file. As you can see, this is the file which must be hosted by the HTTP server which we install, and the document root of the HTTP server is, we can check in the configuration file http conf http.conf. if I check there, I'll use vi. If I search for document root, you will see document root is in this folder. So I'll highlight is this folder. So is that folder where we must put all the content of the HTTP, or the file which must be hosted by the HTTP server. So what I will do, I'll exit and I'll go in that folder cd var www.http, and I'll create a folder named RHEL 9.2 because the version of my ISO file is 9.2. I mistype now RHEL 9.2, and I will open that folder, and now I must copy all the content of the mnt folder, mnt mount. So I'll go and do cp-r for recursive mnt star to copy everything which are inside that folder and put it in the current directory. So wait for it to complete. It will take just a few minutes. So the copy of the file, all the file is already complete. If I do ls minus l, you will see all the folder are already copied. So what I will do now is to configure it locally as the HTTP server. What I will do, I will go and remove all the existing files in the yum.repo. So I'll go, or maybe I can just edit it. So I'll go vim vi etc yum.repo, and I'll just go in that folder first, open that, ls minus l. As you can see, I will edit the first one. I will move it mnt upstream. I'll move it to upstream.repo. So now I'm making all the repo file meaningful instead of having mnt something like. And I'll move also the second one, mnt base to base os.repo, and I will open that upstream. Here it will be the name, it will be upstream repository files, and here I'll remove that mnt and leave that just upstream. And for the base URL, I'll put http://localhost though. So the current server actually I'm repo, so I'll put repo.local.dev/ like I create a RHEL 9.2 directory. I must put that here, so it will be RHEL 9.2/ and that's all. I'll go and do the same for the base OS. So I'll go here and it will be, I'll remove that, and this one also, it will be base OS repository files, and here it will be http:// repo.local.dev/rel 9.2/, and now if I use dnf repo list, as you can see we have this name which is a little bit different than the previous one, and I'll try to search for a package. So I'll use dnf search tar. So there is some error, so we'll check that. So actually there is an error because here, as you can see, I will list the structure of that folder, var www html. As you can see, there is rel 9.2, and inside of that there is the upstream and the base. Like actually I just put rel without anything, so I'll go and change that. V yum.conf.repo.upstream, it will be, after that it will be upstream exit, and for the other one it will be base OS, and here I put base OS. So now if I use dnf repo list, okay, dnf search tar. So now as you can see it's working. So that's how you set up an HTTP. So we try to install that. I'll have to set star. Actually star is already there, so I'll search for a command which is not present actually. I'll search for which command. Wait, I'll install tree. Actually tree is not there, so dnf search tree. So we found, now I install that dnf install -yes tree. As you can see, it's installed from that HTTP based repository. And now we'll try to configure that on another server. on server B, as actually we are on the repo server. So I'll go ssh dash student dash l student server B dot local dot dev, yes, password, and sudo dash password, the same problem we get previously. So I'll go on server B, root user mode append j wheel student and I will after that I will go here and disconnect. So I'll go exit and reconnect, password sudo su dash pass the password. So now I DNF repo list. So actually there's not any server, so I'll try to configure the repo as the server. So it will be DNF config manager dash add repo equal http:// repo.local.dev /RHEL9.2 /base os, and the second one is to be upstream. So we'll go and check for that, etc yum.repo. As you can see, it creates all the two files. So I'll go in that folder and rename those files. mv repo local upstream to upstream dot repo, and the other one, it will be base upstream, no, it will be base os dot repo. Now, and go and edit those files upstream. Here it will be just upstream. Here it will be upstream repository files. Save and edit the base. Okay, delete this line also. Base OS repository files, save, and now I'll try DNF repo list. So now it's a little bit meaningful. I'll try to install the 3 command, dnf install dash yes 3. So we have the same problem. So I'll go v etc yum.conf and change gpt check to 0. And now I'll try DNF install 3. So now we have this error. This means we are could not connect to server B on port 80, as you can see here. So I'll just highlight that. As you can see, we are trying to connect on port 80 on this URL. So this error is because we are not able to reach that because there is a firewall which is running. So if I go here and try to reach that, I'll use curl-k-v http or repo.local.dev on port 80. You will see we are getting a response because we are able to connect. But if I go on the server B and use the same command curl-kv repo.local.dev :80 connect, you see it failed to connect port. This is because there is a firewall which is running by default on Red Hat base OS. So here I'll go and show the status of that service firewall D. As you can see, it is running, and to see all the ports which are allowed, you must use firewall cmd dash cmd dash dash list port. So it's not firewall cmd list port, so I will try firewall cmd list all. As you can see on the list of port there is nothing, and list on service here there is not HTTP. So what I will do, I will enable the HTTP service on the firewall. So the command is firewall cmd add service. So add service HTTP dash dash permanent. Now it's added. So what I have to do is to reload the firewall for it to take effect. So I will reload, and now I'll call the same command. As you can see, now there is a HTTP server there. There is the HTTP server. Here there is a HTTP server, and I will go now on the server here, and I will try now the same command. As you can see, it is working now from server B. And now we can try to install 3-yes3. As you can see, it's working. We wait for it to complete. So as you can see, we have now an HTTP based repository. So this is the process to set up an HTTP based server. So I'll show you how to set up a repository using an ISO file. So you will use the content of the ISO file as the source of packages. And in this video, I'll show you how to set up a HTTP server as a repository, and we were able to set that on a remote server to use that repository. So that is what I want to show you in this video. So if you like to see more content like this, you can subscribe and ring the bell notification so you can be notified whenever I post new video.